Assistant Commonwealth's Attorney Katie Webster, and today, for this case of the week, we're going to go talk to Dan Laren about a case that he recently had that involved stalking. Hi, Dan.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm just fine.
You want to tell us about one of your cases today?
I had a case that was sentenced this afternoon in Fayette Circuit Court. This was a stalking case. I haven't had a lot of these over the years, but I've had a few. By the time they get to us, they tend to be sometimes pretty nasty. These are usually failed domestic relationships and things. This particular case wasn't quite that bad, but it took a long time. This case started in July of 2012. The defendant in this case is a gentleman named Q Soo Cho, and he lives here in town. He has a title business, works for his father, that kind of thing. He had a relationship with the victim. In July of 2012, they went to a concert up in Ohio. There was an incident. I think there was some drinking involved. He hit her. She came back to Lexington, filed for a protective order. He began to drive by her house. He began to show up at her parents' house, at her son's school, contact through her friends, and so forth. She made it clear that she wanted to end the relationship. He kept pursuing her, so he was charged with misdemeanor stalking in district court. He was arrested. He was put into custody, and he pled guilty in September of 2012 to misdemeanor stalking. About a month later, some flowers showed up at the victim's house, some texts, some phone calls. The same stuff just kept coming. And in this particular case, there wasn't an explicit threat. She was scared of him because he had been violent to her, but these contacts did not have any explicit threats of sexual assault or death or physical injury, and that's something we have to prove for a stalking conviction. But the fact that he had just been released, he was on probation for stalking her. He had court orders telling him to stay away from her, and he just didn't do it. He kept in, scared the victim again, so another stalking charge was filed. Since he was already on a protective order, he came up to us. We presented the case to the grand jury. It was indicted, and then the case began to work its way through our system. In this particular case, we had made sure that he was on electronic monitoring so we could tell where he was, and his electronic signal began to appear near the victim's home and the victim's place of business. And we had a hearing. I asked the judge to revoke his bond, and we had to bring the victim in to testify about this. We had the electronic monitoring people from court testify. Ultimately, the judge declined to change anything. The defendant's story was that he lived near there, he worked near there, and so the case was set for trial this month. Having talked about this case with the victim, a very nice lady who didn't do anything wrong except maybe make a bad selection as a dating partner, she just decided she'd had enough. She didn't want to come to court and have the defense attorney take another run at her like he got to do in district court and here. And with her input and talking about the case with our victim's advocate and considering with other cases, we offered to give him a plea agreement to stalking in the second degree, which he accepted, and today he was put back on probation. So we have, I think, maybe 4 court orders now that tell him to stay away from her. There's restraining orders, domestic violence orders, district court probation, and now he's on what I cynically refer to as double secret probation, because nothing's really changed except he has another conviction. He's out walking around. The victim has moved. He doesn't know where she is, and we have that paperwork, which will hopefully prevent him from contacting her again in the future.
Wow. Relationships can be very scary.
They certainly can.
It is treacherous out there. Well, thank you, Dan.
Sure
that sounds
is.
like
Happy to do it.
good casework.
Well, thank you.
All right. We'll see you next time, I guess, for Case of the Week.